have a note here from my mom. She says, big congratulations. She's sorry she can't be here. She hopes that your new wife isn't a bum too. But if she is, you're both welcome for dinner anytime.
She knows you well, Peter.
Okay, so let's see. I have to be honest. I'm a little surprised to be standing here today. Now, for those of you who know Pete, probably find it perfectly normal to be sitting in a Las Vegas casino ballroom after watching Peter marry a girl he met on some summer vacation. Sounds like a Peter kind of thing to me, but I'm very surprised to be standing here, and I'll tell you why. When you spend 5 minutes with Pieter and Jessica, you see that they fit so well. It's too easy, and Peter generally doesn't do things the easy way. Back in high school, he could have gotten a simple, reliable car, a little Honda, a little Toyota, something like that. First, he got a VW bus, and that only ran in reverse.
We pushed it.
After that, he got a 62 Plymouth Valiant? 61 Plymouth Valiant with a 62 engine. We drove that car cross-country more than a few times, and there are a lot of stories about it. If you haven't heard any of them, don't worry, they all start the same. They all start with, remember that time I spent a few days in insert name of state, while I was waiting for insert name of Valiant engine part. You learn a little something about yourself and about your best friend when you're sitting in a diner in the middle of Wyoming, casually having a conversation about, so how stranded are we, and when is the next bus coming? But we got out of it. We got out of all the times the bus stranded us, and you learn something about yourself. You learn something just because you're dumb enough to get yourself into something doesn't mean that you're not smart enough to get yourself out of it. Since then, we've both had much nicer cars. They even have air conditioning, and there isn't a single story between all of them. So owning the Valiant was just the beginning of crazy things that Peter has done that they seemed crazy at the time, but then they turned out to be the exact right thing. After that was, I'm moving to Indiana to avoid paying long-distance phone bills. That resulted in lifelong friends that are here today, a college degree, and admission into law school, so that didn't work out so bad. After his time in law school, that resulted in more lifelong friends, but he decided he didn't really like law school, so what's the answer to that? Well, join the Army.
Yeah!
I really didn't think that Pete could talk, I'm moving to Indiana, but I'll admit that when he came home and said that he'd enlisted and he was shipping out in a couple of months, it caught me a little off guard. That, of course, turned out great as well. He got to spend some time at a beach. He made some more lifelong friends and started a career of knowing things that he can't tell anybody about. All joking aside, his work in linguistic intelligence support for the military has saved countless lives, and I'm very, very proud of him for that. There we go. So, what does all this tell us about Pete? Well, clearly there's a track record of crazy ideas that somehow work out better than he could have planned. But I look at these stories differently. Peter didn't know that they all had happy endings when he made the decisions. So I see Pete as a risk taker, sometimes a pretty bold risk taker. And that's why I'm surprised to be standing here today. At first, all this seems crazy, although it seems just as crazy as all those other stories. But if you spend just 5 minutes with the two of them, you'll know it too. There's nothing risky about it. Pieter and Jessica are a sure thing. So, raise them high for Pieter and Jessica and the happy ending to their first crazy story.
Cheers. Cheers.